What's up, folks? Anthony Rodriguez here, Dolby Atmos Mixer, and I'm super excited to team up with Audeze to take you through the behind the scenes of my soundtrack, The Sacrifice, which is part of the God Soundtrack Suite Volume 2, and also featured on Apple Music's Film, TV, and Stage and Spatial Audio playlist. So it's a big deal, and we're celebrating with a nice BTS together with Audeze. And as you can see, I'm wearing the MM-100s, which is my partner in crime in mixing in Dolby Atmos. The MM-100 gives me the best translation and placement, and I can hear my lush reverbs and effects, and just we're gonna get to experience that together. So make sure you're wearing headphones because playback should be on binaural, and if you don't have headphones, you perhaps probably hear it in the speakers, but better in headphones. So we're gonna get right to it. So let's get to my Pro Tools session here. So I'm using the Pro Tools along with the external Dolby Atmos renderer. So we have here the Sacrifice soundtrack. And we're going to try to go through each track as quick as possible. You guys can also stream the full soundtrack on Apple Music, and which is also available in Dolby Atmos. So just to give you guys a glimpse of how I started this mix, right before I got to the spatial audio portion of this mix, um, I rely on the MM-100s for intense mixing. Yes. Okay. The Dolby Atmos renderer is the motherboard for Dolby Atmos. So without the renderer, there isn't Dolby Atmos. There isn't a need to have a bunch of speakers or even headphones. None of that. So with the renderer, Dolby Labs gives us the opportunity to mix in either or settings or in both settings. But in my setting, we have headphones. So doing things with intention and with understanding. I've been in multiple Dolby Atmos rooms where my mixes have played beautifully with other ADM files from other mixers that have multi-million dollar Dolby Atmos rooms. And so the goal is to always have imagination and do things with intention. So I'm pretty excited to take you through this mix. All right. So we have my Pro Tools session here, and I will take you as fast as possible, and I will try to explain things as fast as possible. All right, guys? All right, cool. So we have my simple Pro Tools file here, where we have the LTC channel here. We have a 712 bed channel here, which feeds the information from the mix to there, to the renderer. We have a stereo track, which is here, which you can see here. If I was to put this back to normal, this is the stereo mix right here, and then everything else here is stems that would be for the Atmos mix. And then over here we have my Atmos master. And if you see the fader on my Atmos master is a little lower than the stereo, and that's because once I was finished with the mix of the Atmos mix, the effects, the placement, and just the push, the rides, and just having so much fun, it kind of added more power to the file, I guess, to the track, to the mix. And so we always have to make sure that our deliverables are at negative 18 LUFS, true peak, not exceeding negative 1.0. Um, so every time you do an Atmos mix, things get to swirl up, very expand in a beautiful way, and then it becomes better than the Atmos in most cases. So that's why the fader is kind of low because that's from the mastering process. So let's get to it. Let's go into the first part of this mix, which is I'm looking at the choir. We could look at the choir here. So the choir, you can hear the effects and the delay and the hall of what the choir provides us. So in the choir, I kept it anchored into the bed. So we have left and right bed. But in objects, I have them in the quad set up above. So I have them left, right, top, left, right, back, and also in the center channel. But the center channel is the bed center channel. Yes. So if you look at the renderer, you'll see quad overheads, but no center channel in objects. So I have that. Now the difference between the objects and the bed speakers, which is the speakers that you actually see with your eyes, objects are like invisible, like invisible placements. They're metadata. They hold metadata from your mix, from what you decide to do with those objects. So you can have them on off setting, you can have them on near, mid, or far setting. Whichever of those settings sound good for your mix in whatever position you're putting them in. Sometimes it sounds better in a certain setting. So the speakers, the physical speakers that you see in whatever room you're in, their job is to distribute those metadata green balls to make sure that the execution of that metadata, the sound, gets communicated between the speakers, and then their job is to make sure that the metadata is being distributed. So if you were to if you were to mix in an object bed, meaning that you're setting objects the same way the speakers would look, right, in a room, then they're right there where they are. So then, if you have them set up on a specific setting, it saves more energy from the speakers because now they're there where the speakers are. But if you have them set on near, mid, or far, that's what's gonna come out. Usually, from my experience, my mixes that have settings, they're executed the same way in speakers. So when I go into an Atmos room and my stuff is being played, I can hear the way I intended it to mix. And this is all with my MM-100 headphones when I'm mixing, because this is what I use to do my intense mixing before the QC part, before I get to the spatial audio section of the mix. And so we have the quad above. I love the sound of these of the choir, what it's giving me. And then you would ask yourself, hey man, are you using Atmos Verb? I'm not using Atmos Verb. To get into a little bit more in depth, I have the also the choir on the left side and the bed, and the left side, right side, right side on the sides, left side, right side on the back, and quad on the top in the bed in objects. And these are decisions that I make based on how it feels, how I feel, and how it all works. But I also have some effects in these beds. So I have, let's say for example, on the center channel, I'm using Seventh Heaven plates um, with the settings that I have here, which I don't want to get into it. That's going to take up too much time. On the sides, I have Seventh Heaven again with a little bit of a decay time. So, and going forward, little bit of different settings here, just for because it works for me, and so forth. So I have different things happening here. Moving on to, let's say, the low booms here. The boom hit in this case is placed in the bed in the back. So if I was to hit this right now, I can feel it right here in my ear, right here. Right here in the boom. Do I have it placed anywhere else? Let's take a quick look at it. No. And I'm surprised that I don't have it on the LFE. I'm very surprised. But as you can see, there's not much processing happening in all of these tracks. I have 20 stems here. Not a lot of processing happening just because I prepared the stems for this purpose. And so from the stereo into the Atmos, I'm able to just enjoy the Atmos mix with my headphones, with my MM-100s, and just enjoy placing them wherever I want to place them, whatever feels good. And that's pretty much it. So you don't, I try to do minimum work. I try not to go too much over processing things because it just messes things up. So this is one of the productions that I'm really proud of because there's not a lot going on, but there's a lot going on. We have low tones here, and this one is a movement. This is just like floating around the sound stage and the sound field. So you can see that there's nothing happening in the objects or in the bed or in effects or anything like that. That's because that's because the stem was already baked in with all the effects that I wanted it to have, and I already knew that in the Atmos, what I really just wanted this to do is just float around. That's all I needed to do. If you look at the track, there's nothing inserted there because that was intentional. So when you look at the Dolby Atmos renderer, which is around here somewhere, the only job it's doing is float around, but float around, baby. That's all. Just flow around, do your job, and you can feel the increase of volume going into these headphones like this. The translation, the MM100s, again, if I said it before, I'll say it again, is phenomenal. Percussion, I don't know if I did percussion, but we have anything else coming in here? Yeah, now we could go into like, let's go to here. Let's go to percussion. Right here, right? I could feel. And sometimes the stems are very dynamic, so we want to make sure that sometimes if you have a high dynamic stem, true peak can easily go over. So, you know, sometimes I do light work. I'll put a multi-band compression right there, just setting up the bands, not doing anything. It's just protecting my stuff. It's just protecting my stuff from going over with an M2 MV2 from on Waves Audio, just adding some bringing up the low end. So that's the processing that I have for that stem, but nothing else. In the panner, I use the divergence at 95%. So what the divergence is, um, it feeds the left, center, and right speakers without you having to add a center channel on that particular, or without sending it to a center channel. The divergence, I have it at 95. If you look over here, these outline blue lines here, around like the square shape, it changes. Oh, we have something here. Okay, so it changes. You can see that it changes. So I have it at 95. You guys were able to hear the movement of placing of the sound, like going from one speaker to the next, right? So that's the percussion, and it's just playing, the the the, the beat constantly through the track, and altogether it will sound like this. One thing you'll notice, all of my stems together, you don't hear a long reverb. And this production is short-lived. The reverbs are short-lived. So you can see here, the way I have them set, because I didn't want to overdo it, you'll see on my front verbs, mid and back, sorry, on the bed effect, the effects on the bed, not on the reverbs. They're quick. Out. So it's giving me that. It's still giving me the roomy. It's giving me the effects that I want when it's all together. This is all intentional. So now we have another set of percussion, which I called it percussion hits. So we'll take a look at that real quick. The placement of these are very interesting. I have it in the object, but closer, a little closer out of the left and right. That's because when I was mixing, I really wanted to hear a certain element of that stem. And so by moving the objects a little closer in, um, and the settings for that, let me see, 40, 43, what is it, 43, 44. I look at my binaural settings, 43, 44, right? That's what I said. 43, 44, I have it set to off because I don't want no effects added to that. So I have it set to off, and I moved it a little closer out of the left and right. I could probably moved it up, but it felt good for me to bring it in a little closer. So when you hear it with the headphone, another reason is because in the stereo mix I had it panned. So when it came to the Atmos mix, I wanted to change that a bit, and with the panner, you're allowed to make those decisions of, move things around. The MM100 gives you that flexibility to feel the sound, to make that decision, intentional stuff, like crazy stuff, man. I really love Dolby Atmos mixing. So another process that I added with this, being that I have orchestral epic drums happening here, I set up a basic multi-band compression again to avoid any overs. Just keep my babies there, keep those dynamics, nice and steady. I don't know if I did any automation on that. No, I didn't. So yeah, so I kept it there the whole time. There isn't no movement. I kept the percussion locked in there. Anything else here that we have? We have some shorts, strings. Short reverbs, short effects, no longs here. Okay. It seems like I did some movement here, which is volume. Where did I do that? Let me see. Let's check it out, guys. Over here. So when you do Atmos mixing, you're allowed to rise stems. So when you're comparing it with, it's not only about stereo having the Atmos having to sound the exact same as stereo. No, because when you're doing an immersive mix, you have to add emotion. You gotta have emotion. You can't just place something here and there and leave it there for forever. You gotta have emotion, and there's a reason why I rolled the short strings up here, and let's find out why. Yes, because the strings was doing some high notes that was being kind of drowned out by the other stems. So I wanted to make sure that these notes, that's why. Okay, the longs, I had the divergence at 95, the same thing. They felt really good, anchored to the front on the coming out of the same speakers at the same velocity, the same power, right? I mean, I keep forgetting about the renderer, guys. So this, since it's in the bed, I don't know if I have it on objects. No, I don't. So the placements with these strings, I have them. Let's find out real quick. I have them on the sides, on the back, left and right, top, front, and top, back, all in the bed. So I have them anchored in the bed, with the effects coming out of the speakers in the bed specifically. So if you was to listen to this, it's just coming out of there. There's no objects in this one with the diversions at 95. Try it out, guys. It's pretty cool. Woodwinds are, I can hear it around here. Right here. Oh, beautiful. Top. Play it again. We have them on the top. Yeah, so I have them top, front, top, back with short effects. So I wanted to make sure that when everything is being pounded into that, man, it's the same thing with the stereo. But when I'm in Atmos, I don't want to overdo things, and Atmos is such a precious thing. You know what I mean? So it's pretty dope. Um, Anything else that's perhaps interesting? We could probably just look at all the horns. We have effects here, a guitar effect. Keep going, baby. I have a multi-band compression on that too. Perhaps the same setting, just to avoid overs. Um, where is that? Is that? I wonder if I put any effects in the Atmos mix. Let's see. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, I do. I have sides and back. Yeah, bed. Sick. Yeah, the guitar leads. Now you notice that the dun 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 is in divergence, um, and also most likely guaranteed in left sides, left and right sides, and left right back. Nothing else. The other guitar, the high notes, it's if I can solo that. If I unsolo the low guitar. If you look at the Dolby Atmos, the panner, I have it lifted up away, a little bit off the left and right speakers. So yeah, so that lead guitar is placed in different positions in the mix. I think I wanted to add more power to it if you was to hear everything together, which I think you heard already, but we could hear it again over here. So when you hear everything together, it's pretty interesting. This I set in the back as well. Intentional mixing here. So we have the rolls happening here and the hits ending up here. Did we get to hear the horns? Yeah. So those are the horns. Play it again. So they're strictly in divergence in the panner and placed around the bed as well. Where in the bed? Pretty simple. Top, front, top, back. The horns that are playing all together are top, front, top, back, and sides. The lead horns that's playing the legato is on the side and in the back, but diversions in the front. So we have left, center, right all together. And so with the MM100s, this allows me to get into you know deep into the mix. As you guys have seen, this is a simple mix, but yet aggressive because there's a lot of intention happening here. And so I have I've had so much fun mixing this one, and also to see featured on Apple Music's spatial audio. This is the reason why it got featured, because doing things with intention and just enjoying the process of it, and having a good device as the M100s allows me to, sit down confidently like this without talking because I'm giving you a BTS, but normally I don't talk. Enjoy the mixing and all that stuff. Um, and so, by the time you come out, from this point forward, this goes into the spatial QC now, and this is for the Apple Music where I use Apple devices to test out the spatial audio things and all that good stuff. But that can't happen until the heavy part comes out of here. So, this is Anthony Rodriguez teaming up with Audeze and sharing the Sacrifice soundtrack from the God Soundtrack Suite Volume 2. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys learned something and inspired to get to the Atmos mixing. All right? Peace.